too.
You've been slacking.
Just like a mate.
Didn't do it.
Apparently they weren't fully charged.
Okay.
Well, they were on the on position.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Perfect.
The N is on
Yeah.
and the O is off.
Okay.
I would have thought the same thing. The
Okay.
N was not working, O
Okay.
was on. But, so,
Okay,
now I'm gonna go sit out here and read.
Okay.
we're fixing to start.
Oh,
We're about to start now.
He can't hear you.
appreciate you anyway, brother.
All right.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, read the instructions.
Okay.
When all else fails.
That's a pretty handy thing, instructions.
Yeah. Torah.
That's what they instruction.
Would you like a peanut butter ball?
He can't hear you. You have to stop really loud.
Just, yeah.
I'll just hand it to you.
Body language speaks louder.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, you're a sweetheart.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Okay. Are we,
You still here, still
Yeah,
like you.
no signal.
No picture.
what is going on?
Is it on?
Platform on your computer.
It's asking a question, Paul. Is it on?
Yeah, it says, is it on?
Well, this is the thing. It is broadcasting on here.
Uh-oh. Silence our phones here.
It's broadcasting on here. It's just not broadcasting up there.
Where's your remote?
It's up there.
I didn't hear my phone go off.
Is it supposed to be
It's-
HDMI 2?
Yes, it's supposed to be HDMI 2. I'm on with everything. It's just it's not on that screen.
Mr. Wheels not engaged.
Somebody want to go get John?
You can audibly apologize to your online audience.
Yeah, if you're
There it is.
online, we're having some technical
There it is.
difficulties.
Oh.
Okay, he got it.
Do we want to tell James he doesn't have to go get John?
James doesn't have to get John? Okay. All right.
Or Matthew or anybody?
Well, here, we'll go ahead and get started.
And find Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Peter. We'll be good to go.
You finally made it?
Eric Clapton?
Good morning.
Yeah, I was counseling about that this morning.
Would you like?
Okay. Y'all say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'll do it one more time so you can.
All right.
Okay, we got it to work.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So, I made peanut butter balls.
Okay. So we're 5 minutes late. So we have to hurry.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. We're not going to hold it against you this time. We're live. We just got started though. Just now. Okay, let's start by saying the blessing. Join me. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with thy commandments, and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah. And in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'asok b'divrei Torah. Okay. Now what does Vayiki, what does it mean?
And he did.
And he lived. It can also mean revive. The sages say that since Jacob had suffered so much in his life, the 17 years in Egypt were the happiest years of his life, and therefore Jacob truly lived happy and content.
Jacob?
Mm-hmm. Jacob.
That's good.
And he lived.
Israel came back.
Yeah. You know, this Torah portion is kind of cool because it begins with the last days of Jacob and it ends with the last days of Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle, Jacob blesses his sons and, you know, Joseph forgives his brothers again. But right in the middle is the prophetic words, you know, where he prophesies over his children.
Vake, Sarah, she died.
Yes.
Now we have Vayaka.
Yeah.
And they both died.
Okay, so let's read. I see we're doing 47:28 through 48:9. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. And when the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, "If now I have found favor in your sight, put your hand under my thigh and promise to deal kindly and truly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. Carry me out of Egypt and bury me in the burying place." He answered, "I will do as you have said." And he said, "Swear to me." And he swore to him. Then Israel bowed himself upon his head, on the head of his bed. After this Joseph was told, "Behold, your father is ill." So he took him with his two sons, Manasseh and Fryum, and it was told Jacob, "Your son Joseph has come to you." Then Israel summoned his strength, sat up in his bed, and Jacob said to Joseph, "God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make you a company of peoples, and will give you this land to your offspring after you in an everlasting possession. And now your two sons, who were born to you in the land of Egypt before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine, as Reuben and Simeon are. And the children that you fathered after them shall be yours. They shall be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. As for me, when I came from Padan, to my sorrow, Rachel died in the land of Canaan on the way, when she was there still some distance to go to Ephrat. And I buried her there on the way to Ephrat, that is, Bethlehem. When Israel saw Joseph's sons, he said, "Who are these?" Joseph said to his father, "They are my sons, whom God has given me here." And he said, "Bring them to me, please, that I may bless them." So, how old was Jacob when he got there? Right up there in the corner.
135.
147.
147.
I thought that's how long he lived.
That's how long he lived. How long did he live? 147.
He was there for 22 years, right?
17.
Like 120.
17 years. He was there 17 years. Got there when he was 130. Died when he was 147.
Okay.
Okay. What special favor did he ask Joseph?
Don't bury him in Egypt.
Yeah.
Yes, don't bury me. And he asked him to put his hand under his thigh. But he
Swear.
didn't do it. He just said, I'll swear. Okay, why is he asking him that? I think we talked about it Wednesday.
He wants
I've
his
heard
bones in
different.
the land.
I've heard different ideas about that. One thing about doing that particular thing, future generations come from his loins. And so when they make an agreement with that, there's also future generations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
I'll check with that.
Joseph was under the authority of Pharaoh.
Right.
Okay, so Pharaoh didn't want him to leave. So he's saying, is your loyalty with me or with Pharaoh? Swear to me. And so when he goes to Pharaoh, he said, I swore to my father, so I'm going to do this. And Pharaoh agreed. But you know, being in Joseph's position, he couldn't really just go tell the Pharaoh, I'm going. So he said, I swore to my father that I would take him back to the land where he has a burial place and bury him. So it's kind of important that,
Protocol.
yeah, the protocol, but also it says after he said, I swear I will do it, then Jacob bowed down. Or he personally bowed down at the head of his bed to Joseph. What does that mean?
The dream was fulfilled.
Well, I mean, it's fulfills prophecy, but
They
it
also
also
recognized who Joseph was.
right. He recognized who Joseph was. He recognized the prophetic position of Joseph. Okay, and who's Joseph a picture of? Yeshua. He's a picture of the Savior. What did Joseph say in response to his father's request?
They didn't even do it.
He swore to us.
Well, he wouldn't place his hand, but he said Jacob nonetheless insisted that Joseph would make a vow to do so, and Joseph complied. According to the sages, you know the sages?
The spicy ones?
Jacob made Joseph swear the oath so he could make his case for Pharaoh. If he was bound to that oath, he said, you have to be able to make the case. So, in a way, Jacob understood the situation. So, do you think a lot of Jews want to be buried in the land in Israel?
Under the altar.
I think so.
Yep.
Why?
Even if they don't know why.
Even if they don't know why? Well, according to the sages, burial in the land of Israel is considered a blessing because it is the abode of souls. It is said to be said to be closer than any other place else on earth to heaven.
You don't have as far to walk in resurrection.
That too.
Okay. So, when Jacob fell ill, what did Joseph do?
Brought his sons in.
Got his two boys and went to see him. And what's that? Do y'all know what that's called?
Honoring your father and mother.
It's called the mitzvah of Bekur, Kolim. The commandment to visit the sick.
Zakur?
Hmm?
Did you say Zakur?
No, I said mitzvah of Bekur, Kolim, visiting the sick. So why, normally you just say when people are sick, you visit the sick, take care of. But it's your father. Why is that fulfilling a commandment? It's his father. He should go see him no matter what. But he's fallen ill and takes his two sons and goes to them. I hear
I do
footsteps.
too.
With hills. I'll bet this is mom and
I
pop.
bet it is. Yeah. We were waiting on y'all. Kind of. Go ahead.
The mitzvah,
Mm-hmm.
Makor Kolim,
Mm-hmm.
where did
Bekur.
you find that in Talmud?
No, that's just it's a Hebrew phrase that means visiting the sick.
Thank you.
Mitzvah is command, and Bekur Kolim is visiting the sick. It's command to visit the ill, the people that can't get out.
You're supposed to care for them. You're not supposed to just leave people down early.
How do you
That's
spell
right.
the word Kolim in Hebrew?
I give up.
You can say it. I mean, it would help him because he's writing in Hebrew now sometimes.
Well, the transliteration is Bikkur,
Yeah.
Bekur,
The
and
K could be-
cholim is cholim.
But the KK could be a kufr, it could be a kaf. or
I mean, I
blow
can,
your house down.
Blow your house.
Kufr,
yes.
kaf, and blow your house down. Never mind, that's good.
No, you do it with the zero sneeze.
okay, I've got to get down here. Where did Joseph's mother die? Yes.
On the way to.
On the way to
On the,
Bethlehem.
on the way. Yeah. So after Jacob and his family fled from Padan Aram, Rachel died while giving birth to Benjamin on the side of the road as they approached Bethlehem. According to the Midrash, Jacob did not bury Rachel at the cave of Machpelah because he was commanded by God to bury her there. Why do you say he was commanded by God? In Jeremiah it says, "Thus says the Lord, a voice is heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel is weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted for her children because they are no more." Now, what's prophetic about that? Her children are no more.
Well, the very same thing happened whenever Yeshua was born, and
Yeah.
killing the two-year-olds or under.
Okay.
Pharaoh killed all the babies and
Yeah.
same thing.
Well, but it's what we discussed on Wednesday. The northern tribe, Joseph, Ephraim, are in captivity, and Benjamin is hidden in Judah. See, I mean, it's the same thing. He says, "My children are no more." We can't see them. We see the Jewish nation, but we don't have Benjamin, but he's there. We don't have the other tribes, but they're in the world. So that's why it says, "My children are no more. I lament for my children." And so that's the purpose of Yeshua's coming, is to bring all those that are in Christ back and join them with the Jewish people as a nation, not as a religion, but as a nation. I mean, we're in God's kingdom. We're not in God's church.
So her burial out there is kind of like,
So we're a part of the house.
We're part of the nation. We're part of God's kingdom. I mean, where is the head of God's kingdom going to be when He returns?
Jerusalem.
In,
Jerusalem.
be in Jerusalem. So that's where He's going to be. That's His domain. Okay, but there's other nations, and there's going to be other nations in the world. But He says, "I will draw all peoples to me." And that's why Jesus said, "My house will be a place of prayer, where all nations will come." So God has a kingdom. He has a constitution. It's called the Torah. Just like the United States has a constitution, has a list of laws. If you want to live in the United States, you live under the United States laws. Okay? If you don't want to obey the law, you either get put in jail, or if you're a foreigner, you get ejected. You know, that's the rules.
Deported.
God is the same way. He says, it's my way or the highway. And He's not being, what do you call it?
Rude.
No.
And isn't that other way wide?
That other way? Yeah. The other way is wide. I mean, what I'm getting at is God isn't any different than any other king. He's not any different than any other ruler. You live in God's kingdom. He wants you
He's
to be
the
blessed
authority.
by His authority.
Yeah.
He's not unjust.
okay, the symbolism here with Jacob requesting to be take me back to be with my fathers. He was blessed to see Joseph again and bless his sons. Okay, but Rachel, she is weeping for her children. They have not returned. So she was not buried with her fathers. She was buried beside the road until such time as those children would return. So
Mhm.
there's a contrast in this burial symbolism
Mm-hmm. That's very good.
in the return of the lost ones.
Oh, number 2. This is 48:10 through 16. Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that they could not see. So Joseph brought them near him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face, and behold, God has let me see your offspring also. Then Joseph removed them from his knees and bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left, himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right, and brought them near him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh, crossing his hands, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, The God before whom my father Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life, long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the boys, and in them let my name be carried on, and the name of my father Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. So, why did the Torah first say that Jacob was blind, and then immediately goes on to say that Jacob saw Joseph's offspring? We discussed this. The blind can also mean prophetic vision. It doesn't necessarily mean that he couldn't see. It means that he had second vision, so to speak. So how could he see them and then say, who are these?
Maybe he was inquiring of Joseph to see if Joseph knew what he was seeing.
He could be. Okay.
Okay.
Before he died, Jacob adopted Joseph's sons and elevated their status to equal with his own sons. Some commentators suggest that Jacob did this because Rachel, who had died an untimely death, would have borne him more children. At any rate, Joseph's wife, Asenath, was a Gentile, so technically Ephraim and Manasseh were not ethnic Jews. Indeed, when Jacob saw the boys arrayed in Egyptian dress, he asked, Who are these? What implication might this have regarding the question of Jewish identity? Okay. Well,
It'd be a heart thing instead of a...
God never told Israel that they were the only ones. He said, I'm setting you apart to be a light to the nations, that all would come to belief and obedience. If you go back and read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, God says in several places, I brought you up to bring all the earth, all men, into obedience to me. So it's never been just about the Hebrew people. It's always been about salvation for the whole world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it says in John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only son. That all, not just some, not just, the what's it called? Arminianism and Calvinism.
Augustinian.
Yeah, Shulam. What's his name? Joseph Shulam. He's a Christian in Jerusalem who's a Jew, has a church, a bunch of stuff. But he said, if people just understood Paul, they would that there is no Arminianism and Calvinism, because when he says the chosen and the elect, he said the chosen are the Jews, the elect are the Christians. He said there is no difference. He said the only difference is your origin. God set up the chosen to draw the elect. So he said, and it's the same within Judaism. There's Jews that are atheists, that don't believe in God. And there's Christians that are atheists and not Christians, but people in the world that are atheists and don't believe in God. But it's interesting. If you go watch Christian debates, y'all ever watch any, like John Lennox or any of those guys that debate atheists?
Like the ham on eye thing?
Yeah. It's real interesting because John Lennox, he'll say, will you have faith in evolution. And they said, well, we don't have faith in evolution. He said, oh, I thought you believed it. I mean, but what do you place your faith in? He says, they think it's blind faith. But it's not blind faith. Is there evidence that God exists?
Yes.
I mean, the Bible says that the sun, moon, stars, all creation says I exist. But there's things in creation now that we see like we've never seen before. And I'm drawn to it because of my experience. But, you know, when they discovered that there was information in the cell, you know that DNA is an information code. It's like a computer program. But it's 3 billion characters long.
I actually like to compare the DNA to God's Torah, because the DNA that's inside the seed, whenever you plant it, what comes out, it makes its own kind, produces just like the parable of the sower.
Right. But that's what I'm getting at, is where did the information come from? If it rains on a rock and it comes alive, what put the information in the dirt and the water on the rock that gave it the instructions to produce itself? Okay? So, like in Job, Job says, in my flesh I will see God. Well, now, in our flesh we can see God because we know what makes up a cell. We know that it's information.
Too complex for evolution.
Yeah, it's too complex. I mean,
To have just happened.
what's his name? James Tour, the molecular biologist, guy that builds nano machines. He said, we've done calculations. He said, if you think that life can occur on its own, he said, you're wrong. He said the odds of it occurring are 10 to the 79 billion. That's 10 followed by 79 billion zeros to 1. You know, he said if that's not impossible, nothing is. Do y'all know how many basic particles are in the universe? I mean, I'm talking about electrons, protons, quarks, all the different basic particles. How many particles are there in the universe?
Too many to count.
Okay, the estimate is 10 to the 90 particles. Okay, the number of seconds since the universe, they've calculated 10 to the 13 seconds. Okay, 10 to the 13th power is enough seconds to produce 14 billion years. You know, but you know, it's every time you add a zero, it's 1,000 times.
Would that be the same thing as a twinkling of an eye?
A twinkling, yes. But what I'm getting at is the odds of the Earth, Moon, Sun, Star existing is phenomenal.
Or astronomical.
Astronomical, yes.
Better term is.
Okay, I gotta. So, how did Jacob invoke the divine name when blessing his sons? I've got it right here. John identified God as Jacob, the God of Abraham and Isaac, the one who had
John probably
been
did too.
his shepherd all his life. And he didn't call out Sharon for saying stuff and interrupting. And the angel who redeemed him from all evil,
Whom he's followed all his life.
whom he's followed all his life. That's true. What specific blessings were given Fryum and Manasseh?
Multiply.
Well, number one, to bear his name. Okay, so what's important about his name? His name is Jacob, but what is his name?
Israel.
Israel. He's to bear Israel and to multiply them as fish, becoming many within the land. Okay, fish. There's the fish. Who's if they're to bear his name and they're the fish, and Jesus was talking to his followers and he said, I will make you catchers of men. It's
Fishers.
fishers of men, but actually it says catchers of men. You're fishermen, but I'm going to make you catchers of men. They're going to go out and bring those people back. They're catchers. That brings Ephraim and Manasseh and the lost tribes that are intermixed with us. I mean, we're with them, so to speak. Okay, get on to number 3. You can read number 3, Sharon? No, you can't read number 3. I'll read number 3. You can go 4. I'm going to when
Name
Joseph,
the other one.
do what? Be quiet. When Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he took his father's hand and moved it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, "Not this way, my father, since this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. Nevertheless, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his offspring shall become a multitude of nations." So he blessed them that day, saying, "By you Israel will pronounce blessings, saying, God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh." Thus he put Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Behold, I am about to die, but God will be with you and will bring you again to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you, rather than to your brothers, one mountain slope that I took from the hand of the Amorites with my sword and with my bow." My sword and my bow. I'm supposed to be on 3.
What is that mountain slope?
I just have one question here. Of whose merit were Israel's sons to be blessed?
Of who's what?
Merit.
Merit.
Whose merit were Israel's sons to be blessed? Israel's sons would be blessed on the merit of Joseph, a type of Messiah. The text reads, "Israel will use you," singular referring to Joseph, "as a blessing, saying, May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh." Jacob said, "Through you," Bekah, singular, "Israel will bless," rather than Bakem, plural, to indicate that the blessing set over Israel's sons really comes from the merit of Joseph. So, if Joseph is a type and shadow of Yeshua, then our blessing is on his merit. See, we do not gain salvation by anything we do. We gain salvation on his merit because he came for us. It's the same thing here. The merit of Ephraim and Manasseh are from their father Joseph. And so, it's kind of how things are hidden in the scripture that we never see before, and all of a sudden somebody points it out to us.
Or your eyes are open when you see it next time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What is the mountain slope he's referring to?
So now,
On the bottom of the page?
what does it say?
The mountain slope, moreover, I've given you.
Oh, Shechem.
Second?
Yeah, the shoulder. Name at least 5 cases where the younger brother was preferred to the elder. Do y'all know 5? Give me the 5. Cain and Abel, we got one. What's the next one? Isaac and Jacob. Esau. Isaac and Ishmael. And then Jacob and Esau. And then Moses and Aaron. And then Joseph and Reuben.
And Ephraim and Manasseh.
And I said 5 other.
Oh, okay.
Because isn't the second one always gets the blessing?
Right. Where the second one is always blessed. It's just like the children of Israel. What generation came into the land? Not the first generation, but the second. It's always, God is always prepared. In light of these examples, why does the Torah later state a law that the portion of the firstborn must not be disregarded? Okay, all these cases, Cain, Ishmael, Esau, Aaron, Reuben, there were reasons that they were passed over. Okay. The firstborn must not be disregarded. It said if you have a favored wife, you can't just say their son is the firstborn. If you have another wife that's not favored, but their son is born first, you have to honor them. Okay? In other words, Cain slew Abel. That's hard for him to be honored. Ishmael was not, he was the son of the concubine. And Esau, what do you call it? Yeah, he didn't honor his birthright. And what about Aaron and Moses?
Aaron was the first one, but Moses didn't want to talk to Pharaoh. So Aaron had to get him out there.
Well, the thing about it is he wasn't chosen by his parents. God chose him. In other words, he didn't disregard the birthright. He was chosen by God. He was born. I mean, he's kind of like a picture of Messiah. In other words, he led his people out of bondage. I mean, he's another picture of Joseph. I'll try to get it this time. I've got a deal that has 60 ways, 60 parallels between Moses and Yeshua. Did you know that there's 60? There's a lot. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is, the point I'm getting at is that it's God that decides who gets the blessing, but don't you decide. If I haven't blessed them, God is the ultimate decider. Decider. Is that a word?
That's why his eyes went down when he was blessed.
Okay, so now we're ready for number 4, sharing.
It's my favorite part.
It's your favorite part.
It is. Then Jacob called his sons and said, "Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall happen to you in days to come. Assemble and listen, O sons of Jacob. Listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might and the first fruits of my strength, preeminent in dignity and preeminent in power, unstable as water. You shall not have preeminence because you went up to your father's bed. Then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Weapons of violence are their swords. Let my soul come not into their counsel. O my glory, be not joined to their company. For in their anger they killed men, and in their willfulness they hamstrung oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Judah, your brothers shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's cub. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and as a lioness, who dares rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, for the ruler's staff from between his feet until tribute comes to him. And to him shall be the obedience of the peoples. Binding his foal to the vine, and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He has washed his garments in wine, and his vesture in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the shore of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall be at Sidon. Issachar is a strong donkey, crouching between the sheepfolds. He saw that a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant. And he bound his shoulder to bear, and became a servant at forced labor. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a viper by the path. that bites the horse's heels, so that his order falls backward, that his rider falls backward. I wait for your salvation, O Lord.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so Jacob first called the sons together, and what do you want to share?
His vision, his prophecy.
Yeah. So note that Jewish tradition followed, he was given prophecy, but he didn't reveal too much.
Yep.
He revealed a lot, but not too
The
much.
important stuff.
I just thought this was cool. Jewish tradition, the following are all hidden from man's eyes: the day of one's death, the time of the Messiah's coming, the time of the end of Edom's dominance, and the complete depth of the Torah. Now, did y'all ever hear what Bill Cloud and Brad Scott said about the Torah?
Which time?
Which part?
Yeah.
No, just the Torah in general. They always said, Brad always said, Bill concurred,
Agreed.
is that the Torah has all the instructions for the creation of the universe.
Yes.
So we can't see it, but it's there. Now that's pretty crazy, huh?
Kind of like a DNA thing, isn't it?
A DNA thing?
Uh-huh.
Maybe. Could be.
It's a tradition that the letters have life
Okay.
of their own too.
Now, this is something. We just read Revelation in our daily readings. We just read Revelation 7, 5 through 8. Do y'all know what Revelation 7, 5 through 8 is? Okay. Y'all don't know what it is? Just off the top of you? Okay. It's where the 12 tribes are listed. 12,000. I mean, it starts out, it starts out 144,000 are sealed from Judah. And then it lists Reuben and Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh,
Everybody.
Simeon, Levi, and Issachar. Okay. What's missing?
Dan.
Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. Benjamin is sealed. Judah is sealed. Then we got 10 in the middle. What's missing in there? Dan is missing. But it gives Dan's
Assignment here.
what does it say about Dan right there? Right before it says, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a viper that bites the horse's heels, so that the rider falls backward. I wait for your salvation. Is that on here? No, it's not. How did I miss that? I guess I didn't put it in.
Have you ever taken
The word Dan means judge. So it says Dan will judge his people. It says judge will judge. And Dan is not mentioned in those that come because when Yeshua returns, he says, I will return with my judgment.
So,
He'll return with Dan's judgment. I mean, it's kind of like Dan is hidden because it says Dan will judge Israel. Now, I don't know if that was what the revelation by leaving Dan out when it says these are sealed, because Dan will come with Yeshua to judge. Could it be that? I don't know. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it's curious that right here in this portion it says Dan will come to judge his brothers. And he's not listed in the Revelation deal. But it says Dan will judge Israel. I don't know. It's just something that I noticed. Because we read it, Dan wasn't there. You know, Dan O'Connor, when he was here, he was always concerned because his name was Dan and he wasn't listed. And that worried him. He's dead now, but that worried him.
If you take the order that they are listed in Revelation and go get what was said about them, it tells the story.
It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
I didn't
Wow.
see how it makes
It's crazy.
sense.
It's just
It's wild and crazy.
like another bringing the names up from beginning to Noah.
So we're ready for number 5. You're going to read that number 5,
Am I?
Wade. Wade's going to read for us. We'll help you with the big words.
It's Wade.
He's Wade.
Oh,
Not in the water today, though. Raiders shall raid
so
Gad,
fast.
but he shall raid at their heels. Asher's food shall be rich, and he shall yield royal delicacies. Naphtali is a doe, let loose, that bears beautiful fawns. Joseph is a fruitful bough by a spring. His branches run over the wall. The archers bitterly attacked him, shot at him, and harassed him severely. Yet his bow remained unmoved, his arms were made agile by the hands of the mighty one Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. By the God of your father, who will help you, by the Almighty, who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that crosses beneath, blessings of the breast of the womb. The blessings of your father are mighty, beyond the blessings of my parents, up to the bounties of the everlasting hills. May they be on the head of Joseph and on the brow of him who was set apart from his brothers.
Thank you. Okay, so describe the blessing given to Joseph. Can y'all describe it? So he says he's a fruitful son over the eye, suggesting that Joseph would possess the good eye of faith. What y'all know what the good eye and the evil eye is?
Generous and
The
stingy.
good eye is generosity and the evil eye is stingy. In other words, the good eye of faith. The archers shot at him. His brothers rejected him and harassed him severely, cast him into the pit. His power was established by the mighty one of Jacob, the shepherd, the stone of Israel. In the name of God of his fathers, El Shaddai, Joseph was blessed with both the blessing of heaven above and the blessing of the deep beneath, blessings of the breast of the womb, all spiritual and material blessings. Jacob invoked all the best blessings to be on the head of Joseph because he is considered one of Nazir of his brothers. And since the blessing of Joseph extends to Ephraim and Manasseh, Jacob's adopted sons, his blessings provides a prophetic picture of how Gentiles, those adopted into ethnic Israel, would later partake of all spiritual blessings in the Messiah. So, Joseph is a picture of the people in the world that hold fast to Yeshua and keep his commandments. They receive the blessing. That's us. So, what that blessing, and if it is us, what does that do to the Jewish people?
It's supposed to make them jealous.
Makes them jealous. That's the whole point. Is God says, I will take a people that's not a people and make them my people, so that my people will understand who I am. I mean, and it's always been that way. Okay, I gotta get on to because we're almost out of time. We're number 6.
Yes.
Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, in the morning devouring the prey, and at evening dividing the spoil. All these were the 12 tribes of Israel. This is what their father said to them as he blessed them, blessing each with the blessing suitable to him. Then he commanded them and said to them, I am to be gathered to my people. Bury me and my father in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, to the east of Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron the Hittite to possess as a burying place. Excuse me. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife, and they buried Isaac and Reuben and his wife, and there I buried Leah. The field in the cave that is in where I bought from the Hittites. When Jacob finished commanding his sons, he drew up his feet in his bed and breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. Zoe, would you read from 50 to the end?
Then Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Israel. 40 days were required for it, so that is how many are required for embalming. And the Egyptians wept for him 70 days. And when the days of weeping for him were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, I am about to die. In my tomb that I hewed out for myself in the land of Canaan, there shall you bury me. Now therefore let me please go up and bury my father, and then I will return. And Pharaoh answered, Go up, bury your father, as he made you swear. So Joseph went up to bury his father. With him went all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his household, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, as well as all the household of Joseph, his brothers, and his father's household. Only their children, their flocks, and their herds were left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen. It was a very great company. When they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, they lamented there with a very great and grievous lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days. When the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning on the threshing floor of Atad, he said, This is a grievous mourning for the Egyptians. Therefore the place was named Abel Mizraim, which is beyond the Jordan. Thus his sons did for him as he had commanded them, for his sons carried him to the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, to the east of Mamre, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron the Hittite, to possess as a burying place. After he had buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt with his brothers, and all who had gone with him to bury his father. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, It may be that Joseph will hate us and pay us back for all the evil that we did to him. So they sent a message to Joseph, saying, Your father gave this command before he died. Say to Joseph, Please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, because they did evil to you. And now please forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of your father. Joseph wept when they spoke to him. His brothers also came and fell down before him and said, Behold, we are your servants. Joseph said to them, Do not fear, for am I in the place of God? As for I, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. So do not fear, I will provide for you and your little ones. Thus he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. So Joseph remained in Egypt, and he and his father's house. Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. The children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, was counted as Joseph's own. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land to the land that he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Then Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here. So Joseph died, being 110 years old. They embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
Okay. So it's back at the beginning. It says, what blessing was given to Benjamin? So Benjamin would be a warrior of Israel, and later the temple was destined to rest in Benjamin's territory. The eating of portions mentioned alludes to the Tamid sacrifice offered at the altar. What is the Tamid sacrifice? It's the daily sacrifice.
Yes.
The Tamid sacrifice, daily sacrifice that was offered at the temple. It was offered every day and then supplemented on holy days with additional sacrifices and with those brought by individuals. It was offered in the morning and the evening, the first and the last sacrifice of the day. In other words, all the sacrifices, no matter if it was during a feast day or whatever, you had the morning sacrifice and the evening sacrifice. And all sacrifices came between the morning and evening sacrifices. So, who is our daily sacrifice?
Yeshua.
Yeshua. He is the first and the last. I don't know if y'all get that or not. I'm trying to editorialize here just real quick.
Trying to speed along.
Mm-hmm. Okay, after their father was buried, why did the brothers think that Joseph would seek revenge?
I thought the dad was the only thing protecting them.
Mm-hmm. That's one reason. The other is that the brothers never confessed their sin to Jacob, and likewise Joseph never told his father that his brothers betrayed him. So the Midrash, you know what the Midrash is? The hidden meaning is that on the way to bury their father, Joseph passed by the place where he met his brothers when they were at Shechem to check on their welfare. While he was there, Joseph stood near the pit where he was thrown and silently prayed to God, thanking him for his deliverance. The brothers interpreted this to mean that Joseph was revisiting his wound and awakening his resentment, and therefore they became fearful. But you can see that when they came back, they did pass through all those places that they had been, because all those places are the normal traveled routes. And whether he stopped and prayed, it doesn't matter. What it matters is that they were all reminded of what happened when they came to these places. Mm-hmm. And so you can infer that the brothers were scared.
It's their own guilt.
I mean, their brother was the leader of the known world, the most powerful country. And we've discussed this before, how did Egypt become the most powerful country in the world?
Because Joseph blessed them.
Yeah, because
traded for everything from the food that he stored up.
Right, but he not only took the Pharaoh didn't only take all the food and the money and the animals from the people in Egypt, but the famine was severe about the whole world, and all the countries around there came, and Egypt collected their wealth too. So Joseph Pharaoh held him in awe for what he did. And so the brothers had to be scared of him, no matter what. So it's not unlike what the end of days is going to be when Jesus returns and the Jewish people, God's chosen people, realize what their predicament is. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I think it's the same. I don't think it would mention this if it wasn't the same. So I have to end because it's it's 10 o'clock. So what did the brothers say to Joseph? So what did the brothers say to Joseph to allay their fears? That's
Daddy.
just backwards.
Daddy said, don't touch us.
The brothers lied by saying that Jacob had instructed them to go to Joseph. I think that was wishful thinking. Is that what y'all think? Yeah. How did Joseph
Fear.
respond?
They looked out of their fear.
I told him not to worry about it, that he would take care of them.
Well,
And he said what that their evil was used for good.
Well, he starts by saying, do I look like God? I'm not God. I can't decide your fate.
that's right.
So,
He said, am I your judge? Besides, even though they meant it for harm, God meant it for good. And what's that parallel to?
You sure?
The same thing. His brothers, Jesus' brothers, crucified him. Okay? But what they meant for evil, God meant for good. Because we had to have the sacrifice. Now, if his brothers hadn't have done it, would God have accomplished it some other way?
Yeah.
Yes. But throughout the whole Torah, it points to this. So that's why Yeshua, when he talked to the two guys on the way to Emmaus, he explained to them
it's
everywhere he was. And then when they got to the end, he said, see, the brothers sold Joseph into slavery and he saved the world. You, my brothers, have given me so I can save the world. He had to have said that because that's what they preached from then on, that Jesus was to save the world. Okay. So we've just finished the Torah portion. What do we say when we finish a book of the Torah? Do y'all know? We say Kazak, Kazak, Benitz, Kazak. And then we say it in English. Be strong, and may we be strengthened. So, what does studying the Torah do?
Strengthen us.
Makes us strong in the world. Because if you don't know the Torah, if you don't know God's instructions, you cannot defend your faith. It's just impossible. That's my opinion. And I like my opinion a lot.
Oh, really?
There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Okay, so we have to finish with Calvin. I'm sorry there's folks here that's not going to get to see it, but if people sat outside and looked at the stars each night, I bet they'd live a lot differently. How so? Well, when you look into infinity, you realize that there are more important things than what people do all day. We spend our day looking under rocks in the creek. I mean other people. That's the way most people live their lives. You know, you should do better. But what about yourself? Well, I don't. That's me, not you.
Does that say creek or Greek?
Creek.
That would be facetious.
In the creek. Yeah.
In the Greek.
Now I'll let you see the rest of it. See, it says if people lived their looked at the stars at night, they'd live their life differently. And he says, how so? He says, well, when you look into infinity, you'd have a different look on life.
Are you saying we're different because the stars at night are big and bright?
Deep in the heart of
Deep in the
Texas.
heart of Texas. Wow.
Okay.
You should have known that was gonna go there.
Should have known that was.
Yeah,
Somebody had to.
It was
It's
just
like-
kind of a green cloud.
there were two morons crossing the bridge,
Uh-oh.
and one fell in, that the other one didn't. Why didn't he fall in? He was just a little moron. Okay, he's a little moron.
I may or may not have told a particular pastor if he couldn't defend Yeshua from the Torah, he was missing the point.
Mhm. Okay. Next week is Shemot. Shemot, the names. That's Exodus.
Yeah.
Shemot. In Hebrew, it's known as Shemot. In Jewish circles. So let's have the blessing. Go on. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth, Yeshua our Messiah, and set everlasting life in our midst. Blessed art thou, O Lord, giver of the Torah. And in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, Yeshua Meshikenu, Bekayi olam, Natah Betukenu, Baruch atah Adonai notin ha-Torah. I gotta get
He
it.
said those.
Oh. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Disaster pursues sinners, but the righteous are rewarded with good. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Did y'all know that? The way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one iota, not a dot will pass from the law, the Torah, until all is accomplished. And now I changed this up a little bit. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow, and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. Hey, that worked pretty good, didn't it? Yeah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Paul.
All right. Look, we're just 8 minutes after. We're good. Where's the little
Little mouse.
Yeah, I've turned it off. Turn off the recording.
I had a question and then it left me.
It did?
Yes.
That happens to me all the time.
I'm in good company then.
I don't know.
You don't
might
know
want to
whether
rethink that.
I'm sure it was important.
I think there's a parallel here between let the dead bury their dead.
That was good. What you say?
Oh, well, no, that was something else I discovered. Remember when they were wanting to leave, Moses said,
Oh, that's
we will
okay.
not leave
I
one
didn't
hoof
read it.
behind.
Mhm.
Well, this
I
time
was
they
in
don't have to
Hawaii
bury their
anyway.
dead. They left their flocks and their children behind. It's just the opposite of what they did when they wanted to go worship a living God instead of to bury their dead.
There you go.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can go and bury your dead, but you got to leave your children and your parents, so you're coming back. It's a parallel, isn't it?
It's a
Why are you handing me this cup?
people that are
Trash?
I was just moving it that so I wouldn't knock it over.
the people that are alive are not going to be involved in burying their dead. That's kind of what.
Oh, you're not going
Yeah.
You're not?
You think?
Because I mean, it's one of those things.
Uh-huh.
Do you have this little connection?
No, I have.
Not one hoof will be left behind.
My son owns all those books,
Yeah.
but I just go to the internet and copy the pictures and do all that.
Books if you need them.
No,
Yeah.
I'll take one.
Uh,
All right.
So yes, you are
yeah.
now.
Alvin told me that you were kind of a graphic artist and stuff that gets that does all that stuff.
I used to be the cartoon.
Yeah, but
So if you ever need anything, holler.
yeah. Oh, you don't know what you're saying.
Oh,
No.
good.
Traffic is terrible.
Yes.
don't plan well. I think I planned
Are we pretty good?
I know.
Yeah.
I can, so Paul
The
texted
one
it
thing
to
about
me.
peanut butter is it's like big stuff baked on
So-
the side of it.
What'd you
Okay,
do?
so guys, get washers.
Oh, it's the
Oh, washers and washers.